Deion Sanders, Coach Prime, his first press conference of the 2024 season, I'm going to grade it an F. He was fragile. He was fraudulent. He was feminine. It was bad. We're going to discuss it today. Welcome to Fearless with Jason Whitlock. I'm Jason Whitlock, your host. Happy Monday. Thank you for joining me. When I say awesome show today, do I have a daily dose of Deion for you? But I also have some LeBron James, MVP of the Olympics over Steph Curry. Are you kidding me? We're going to have a discussion about, is Steph Curry now a bigger star, a better player, more historic than Kobe Bryant after his Olympic performance? I got some Justice For T.T. I got so much to unpack here today. It's going to be phenomenal. Steve Kim's going to join me. Make sure you also check out our extra Fearless content on blazetv. Steve Kim and I will have a discussion about Aaron Rodgers and a new book by Ian O'Connor where Aaron Rodgers says he regrets using the word immunize. The only way to get that extra Fearless content is by being a Blaze TV subscriber. Go to blazetv.com/fearless. Use the promo code fearless and you can save $20 on your yearly subscription. Let's get into today's F grade for Deion Sanders, Coach Prime, kicking off the college football season with a press conference, I believe, on Friday, and it was awful. It was awful. It was a cry for help. Deion Sanders needs help. This is as thin-skinned a grown man as I've ever seen in my life. This is as fragile a grown man as I've ever seen in my life. This is as fraudulent as I've ever seen a grown man in my life. This man was feminine. He was little girl childlike. If you don't like him, don't ask him a question. It was embarrassing. I want to start from the very beginning of this. Before anyone asked Deion Sanders a question on Friday, he came out on the defensive. On the defensive. From this little Athlon sports story has Deion backpedaling like he's up against Jerry Rice. And so before anyone answered a question, Deion started trying to have a discussion about the Athlon sports story that we discussed on Friday, about the allegations that his locker room environment is like a Grand Theft Auto game, that players are fighting with each other, they're gambling, there's a gun culture, there's no control. Deion Sanders comes out on Friday, sunglasses on, snorting every 45 seconds or so, like, hey, is this dude Bubbles? What's going on here? Who snorts like that every 45 seconds without ever blowing their nose? It was incredible. But let's start with Deion coming out on the defensive. I believe this is SOT number 3. Let's start there.
Ready to talk to me today. Good luck. Volleyball coach, Jesse Mahoney. Soccer coach, I'm just reading off media day. I don't know why I'm reading this. Police officer that talked to the team. It's Mark Mistow during Joker's, I don't know if I'm enunciating that right. Steve, John, Josh. We've had them talk to our team on July the 28th. They did a wonderful job, and one of the things that they reiterated was this team has been above reproach, other than a plethora of other teams that has been established here, and they're thankful that the way this team is conducting themselves. Academics, spring 2024, second highest GPA for football ever. Spring 2023, highest GPA for football ever. Football cumulative GPA is 3.025, highest ever, and first time over 3.0. Charlie and Travis earned 4.0s.
So that was Deion Sanders. Before anyone asked a question, the man is out there reading off a sheet of paper and telling us the police said this team has been above reproach. He didn't use the word compare, but he just said a plethora of other teams that have been established. This dude has no command of the English language, no idea what he's doing. He's just coming out being defensive. Oh, there's an Athlon story. Let me go tell you guys about what the police said on July the 28th. They came and spoke to the team. I don't know why I'm reading this. We all know why you're reading it, because you're being defensive. Deion, you're out here on the defensive because you're insecure about yourself as a head coach, about the environment and the culture you've established within your program. You're sniffling and snorting your nose like bubbles from The Wire. Comes out on the defensive, and then it just gets worse from there. It just gets worse. It's unprofessional what Deion Sanders is doing. The man needs help. He needs an intervention. He's in over his head. This conversation we're having today, it's not about wins and losses. They've bought up some good players. They may win 7-8 games this year. And everyone will say, oh my God, look at how incredible that's a 3-game improvement. Everything's incredible. They may win. I don't think they're going to win 7 or 8 games, but there's a possibility. They got 4 or 5 NFL high caliber players on their team. And they're playing in the Big 12. Not that the Big 12 is a bad conference, but it won't be as difficult, I don't think, as the Pac-12, the conference in which he finished last year. Last place. Last year. Oh, they only won 1 game the year before. It's incredible. They've been averaging 4 victories a year forever. The one win season was the aberration. The norm is 4 wins and last place, and that's what they did last year in the Pac-12, the final year of the Pac-12. But it got worse than just his prepared comments, prepared defensive comments. I want to go to, I believe this is early on, SOT number 1. This is Deion upset with a CBS reporter about something a different CBS reporter said about Deion and his team. Let's play the clip.
Next guy.
Eric Christensen with CBS Sports Colorado.
CBS,
Tyler,
I'm not doing nothing with CBS. Next question.
Joe Rigo, Mile
Ain't got nothing to do with
Raiders.
you. It's above that. Ain't got nothing to do with you. I got love for you. I appreciate you, respect you. Ain't got nothing to do with you. They know what they did.
I'm here in Denver, not national.
You are who you are. CBS is CBS.
All right.
Joe
Ain't got
Rigo,
nothing
Mile
to do with
Sport.
you. I respect you. That's why I told you that. I'm looking you in the eye as a man. I respect you. I got love for you. But what they did was foul.
I'm not 1,000% sure of what they did. My suspicion is it was some CBS reporter who came out with a ranking, I believe, on Thursday or Friday of the top coaches in the Big 12. And Deion was ranked second to last. Now, he should have been ranked last, but he was ranked second to last. And this is what most people are speculating ticked off Deion Sanders. The man finished in the Pac-12, last place in the Pac-12 last year. He's coming to a conference with a lot of high-end, established coaches, and he's upset that in this new conference where he's proven nothing, that he's ranked second to last. His team is picked to finish in the bottom half of the Big 12 conference. I think that's what it is. There's other speculation that perhaps Deion is upset about CBS writing something, repeating what the Athlon Sports guy wrote about the culture and the Grand Theft Auto environment within Deion's organization. And then there's speculation that maybe they made a passing comment to Shiloh's problems with, you've seen John Dijon on this show, the guy that Shiloh broke the guy's neck when Shiloh was in high school, that's got the lawsuit going back and forth. Perhaps CBS Sports wrote something about that and irritated Deion. But all of it is ridiculous and incredibly thin-skinned. And the people defending Deion for taking on a CBS reporter about something another CBS reporter wrote, refusing to answer questions. You know nothing about coaching. You know nothing about leadership. You know nothing about masculinity. This is as insecure and as childish as a head coach that's paid millions of dollars at a Power 4 school. This is as childish and as unprofessional as you can get. You're holding a grudge against CBS because some guy says, based on resume in major college football, you're the second worst coach in a conference you just joined. You have an opportunity here in 3 weeks to prove the guy wrong. Most coaches use that as motivation. They swallow up that kind of disrespect, and I would even call it disrespect, criticism, skepticism, cynicism, whatever. They swallow all that up and use it as motivation. Deion, on the other hand, whines and cries like a spoiled, entitled little girl. Here's Deion with a the Denver Post, I believe, their top sports columnist is a guy named Sean Keeler. He's been around for a long time. I guess he's a tiny bit critical of Deion Sanders in the Denver Post. Here's Deion refusing to answer this guy's questions. This is embarrassing.
Coach Sean Keeler, the Denver Post. Happy summer, my man.
You don't like us, man. Why do you do this to yourself?
Come on.
You don't like us.
Mark likes me, by the way.
Huh?
Yeah. Mark said he likes me.
No,
so
but
that's
you
one.
don't. Why do you do this, though?
No, I'm sorry. Two-parter if I could.
No, I'm serious.
Football
Why do
question.
you do this? Like, you know you don't. Like, why do you do this?
No, it's not about that. Football question. Football
No,
question.
why do you do this? Like, it would be hard for me to really engage in someone I don't like or something I don't like. I'm just asking why. Like, why?
Gotta pay
What
the bills,
did I
Coach.
do?
You didn't do anything. It's not about that. But this is a
But
football
why?
question.
I'm asking you why.
Yeah, you can answer, but that's
Okay,
not
answer
germane
me.
to this.
What?
Yeah.
Because you want me to answer you. So can
Yeah,
you
okay, that's fine. That's fair.
Why?
Yeah. Why? Because I have
Give me
questions.
your why.
What's your why? What do you want to know?
Why do you always on attack? Like, what did we do?
Where am I on attack today? Where am I on attack?
Yeah, I'm not gonna give you opportunities to be on attack. But I'm asking you why. Like, what does it do for you? Like, what happened?
It's not about me.
But what happened to get you like this?
It's a good question.
No, I'm serious. Because I want to help. No, I'm serious. I want to help. Because it's not normal.
We can talk about that.
Okay.
Can I ask you a football question?
No,
Seriously.
No, we'll talk about that. When we talk about that, I'll talk about that with you.
Can we ask you a football question, please?
When I talk about that, we talk about that. We can talk about that.
So, for someone like me, who made his reputation and career on battling with prominent head coaches, prominent executives, ownership in sports, and anybody with a brain can walk through my entire history. We'll start in 1992 when I moved to Ann Arbor, Michigan to cover the Fab Five basketball team. Their head coach was a guy named Steve Fisher. He went on to become a very successful coach at San Diego State, had success at Michigan. He had the Fab Five. I used to shred this guy in the Ann Arbor News on a weekly basis. He never did this kind of cowardly stuff Deion Sanders is doing. This isn't what men do. And I was brutal on Steve Fisher. And again, and not out of any animus, and because I didn't think Steve Fisher had control of the Fab Five team. And I know they had some success, but it was all based on talent. They'd get in big spots against disciplined, well-coached teams, and they would get exposed. I can remember I wrote a story about their stats and their success or lack of success against Bobby Knight, Mike Krzyzewski, and there was one other coach that ran a discipline, and you could just look at the numbers. And it was teams that would, Duke had as much talent as the Fab Five or close. Indiana didn't, and they'd give them fits. I think Purdue and Gene Cady would give them fits. They had Big Dog, but Steve Fisher and I went at it for 2 solid years. He never pulled this kind of crap. And did he like me? No. Did he talk about me behind my back? Yes. My career in Kansas City from 94 till 2010, I went toe-to-toe with Marty Schottenheimer, Carl Peterson, occasionally Dick Vermeil, Scott Pioli, who I called Scott Egoli. I went with all these guys. They never behaved the way that Deion did. And yes, sometimes they did freeze me out. I can remember when Marty Schottenheimer, his farewell press conference, because they did not want any questions asked about why Marty was really leaving. Marty had some problems at home that included, a waitress at a popular bar. They didn't want any questions asked about. So at his farewell press conference, they wouldn't call on me at his press conference. But other than that, we dealt with each other. Carl Peterson couldn't stand me. The man came to my home for a Christmas party. I'm just, this level of cowardice, I just haven't seen. And some of you are sort of, yeah, Deion's just tough. He won't take it. He's standing up. No. He's pulling a Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris won't engage with the media. Deion Sanders, unless you genuflect in front of him, bow down. He started out his comments to this Sean Keeler with, you don't like me. You don't like us. I don't know how you do this. That's what an 11-year-old girl would say. Deion might as well have stuck his fingers in his ears and closed his eyes. This is childish. This is not modeling the behavior for young men that you want to see them grow into be. This is petulant. This is a spoiled child, a spoiled athlete who's never transitioned into being a legitimate leader and head coach. I don't care about the games he won at Jackson State. We've seen talented teams overcome horrendous coaching, horrible leadership. We've seen it. You can buy your way and cut corners your way to the top. It's even preferred now in modern America. But people trying to defend this, yeah, they deserve it. Sean Keeler's harmless. Newspapers have been totally emasculating and eviscerated. They don't really matter. This dude is harmless. And Deion's acting like the guy threw a nuclear weapon at him while snorting every 45 seconds in sunglasses. If you couldn't see it and someone just described to you, hey, there's a coach that showed up to an indoor press conference in dark sunglasses every 45 seconds, he's snorting. He has no command of the English language, and he's being combative and feisty and talking about things, answering questions that haven't been asked. You'd be like, hey, man, is Bubbles the head coach of the Colorado Buffaloes? Who's this head coach? Again, if you didn't know it was a Hall of Fame football player, Deion Sanders, you'd have all kinds of questions. Is this Pookie from New Jack City? That's what it looks like. Deion needs help. All of this butt kissing and genuflecting and idolatry is destroying Deion. And y'all can sit and look, I'm expecting them to win 4 or 5 games this year. So I'm not building up a like, hey, I'm worried they're going to win 8, 9, 10 games and I'll be in bed. I couldn't care less. At the end of the day, take it back. Yeah, I want him to win 4 or 5 games because I want Deion exposed for the fraud that he is. But if he has success, it doesn't justify this behavior. It just speaks to how corrupt this modern culture is and what we've done to sports. And that character and true leadership don't matter anymore. I want to play final clip of here's Deion, a man with a very limited command of the language, a very limited vocabulary, a man who you talk to anybody, skipped virtually every class at Florida State University. Here he is just picking a fight and trying to correct people, or I'm not even sure what he's doing in terms. A guy used the word, hey, you bolstered your offensive line, and Deion goes off on some tangent about you should have used the word improved, and then someone else used the word chemistry, and he's just combative and arguing for no reason. He just in over his head. Play the clip.
Bolstered your offensive line here in this second season.
What does bolstered mean?
You beefed it up?
Because I don't know all that bolstered stuff. I never used that in a sentence in my life.
All right, you beefed up your offensive line in this offseason.
Beefed up.
How do you sort of microwave
Improved?
that chemistry?
Improved. How about improved? Let's say that. We've improved our offensive line.
Okay, how do you get that? Everybody talks about that, so, the 5 have to work in unison, and the chemistry is such an important thing.
What is chemistry? You guys use it all the time. What is it? Yeah, you guys work together. You don't like each other, most of you.
You love each other.
No, you don't. You definitely don't love the guy back there. Y'all can't stand him. But you still work together. You get the job done. We generally have a love and a admiration for one another. We really do. Whether you throw the word chemistry out or not, everybody keep throwing that word out. Some of you don't even have chemistry at home, but you go there every day.
That's Deion once again being defensive and having a conversation about things that haven't been asked. And perhaps maybe he's upset that no one's asked him a direct question about the Athlon Sports deal. That may be what's transpiring here. And he can blame himself. When you start the press conference being defensive and talking about those things, and then you start, hey, I'm not going to talk to this CBS reporter, and then, hey, I'm not going to talk to Sean Keeler. You've now told everybody, don't ask me any difficult questions because I'll put you on my list of people I don't engage with. And so now you're forced to answer questions that haven't been asked. And so he wanted to have hey, we got good chemistry around here. We love each other. Y'all the ones with bad chemistry. He's subtweeting. This is a jackass. Now, great athlete, but not that smart at all. Thinks he's playing chess. He's playing checkers. When you bully people and don't engage with people, don't expect them to be enthusiastic or know what to ask you other than to genuflect in front of you. And that leaves you out here talking about things that haven't been asked. And you make a fool of yourself because you're unprofessional and no one's holding you to any standard. You don't have a boss at Colorado, the Rick George, the athletic director. He can't walk you through it. No one can walk you through it because you think you're the smartest man in every room. And really, you're the most insecure person. You're the most fragile person. And I know that sounds incredible to you all because you look at Deion and you say, man, this guy's made so much money. I'm just keeping it real. Deion's a good-looking guy. He's famous. He puts on all the gold and all the jewelry and the sunglasses and looks the part. But trust me, when you get to be 57 years old and you're forcing people to call you by some childhood nickname, and you're throwing on gold chains and jewelry, it's all insecurity. Those of you that haven't reached age 57 yet, you may not get what I'm talking about. Those of you that haven't reached age 40, you may not get what I'm talking about. But trust me, when you have real self-confidence, the jewelry becomes irrelevant. The sunglasses become irrelevant. Your critics, to some degree, become irrelevant. You're standing on such firm ground that like, oh man, this person here has this opinion about me. It's either irrelevant or it's something you can learn from. And so the behavior of outsiders doesn't control your behavior. That's when you've reached a real level of maturity and you're standing on the firm foundation of God. You have an audience of one. And when you accept that audience of one, your behavior changes. And what other people say about you, think about you, becomes irrelevant. You sit around and go, am I pleasing the most important one? And that's it. Deion is worried about everybody else. I have some sympathy for him. Didn't have a father. And then blessed with all that athletic talent that makes it so no accountability ever comes your way. I can remember, in high school, I was super talented in high school. I could do things in high school. I could cut corners and be great. Last year, senior year track and field, I rarely practiced, but I was the leading point scorer because I could throw the disc and the shot put so far it didn't matter whether I practiced, and I was the leading point getter on our track team. And they finally, Dean Carbone, the coach of the track team, at the end of the year, booted me off the team. Leading scorer all through the regular season, booted me off the team because I just showed up for practice when I wanted to. And that was the beginning of life starting to treat me like, hey, bro, because by the time I got to Ball State, I was talented, but I wasn't necessary. And so coaches started coming at me in the harshest way possible and started holding me accountable for all my immature actions. Thank God it happened. Thank God I had 2 years of being treated horrible because it just began the process of me course correcting. I was still a handful my last 2 years, still hard to deal with, a locker room lawyer, thought I was but I didn't, and I had success my last 2 years, but I did not reach my full potential because I was an idiot. And thank God the coaches at Ball State treated me like an idiot. Because my last year I was a really good player, but they wouldn't they went out of their way not to give me credit for being a really good player. This sounds like I'm making it up, but it's factual. They manage me and coach me in a way. My grades during games, they give me negative blocks just because, like, we can't trust this guy. We give him his real grade, he'll be a complete idiot, totally uncontrollable. So they just like manage me down. And at the time, I didn't understand it. I'd be, oh, this is so unfair. They're racist. They're this, they're that. As an adult, I figured it out. Like, no, I was an idiot. And they held me accountable. Thank God they did, because again, it just continued the process of waking me up to the reality of life. No one's ever wakened Deion to the reality of life. He's gotten away with being super talented. You go to the NFL, you put together a Hall of Fame career, people start giving you opportunities. He creates a prime academy school that flops and fails. No one holds him accountable for that. Goes to Jackson State, tells a bunch of lies and exaggerations, bounces on them after winning a championship. No one's held him accountable for that. Brings in Brittany Renner to speak to the kids and all kinds of just foolishness and mess. Last year, we saw a nightmare of a coach from start to finish. From that very first game at TCU, you believe in me now? You believe in it? All of it. Never held accountable. And he still isn't being held accountable. He thinks he's above maturity, evolution, manhood. And he's setting that standard for these kids that if you got enough talent, just do whatever you want. Never grow up. Be the same child at 57 that you were at 17. And you'll get away with it because you got so much talent. So that's my dose of Deion for today. Fraud, feminine, fragile. Give him an F. We'll talk about this with Steve Kim and some other sports topics that I said. LeBron James, MVP of the Olympic basketball team over Steph Curry. Are you kidding me? I'm starting to think Steph Curry. I'm not starting to think. I think Steph Curry is a better basketball player than Kobe Bryant. We'll talk about that. And I got some Justice For T.T. as well. Before we get to Steve Kim, I want to talk with you guys about our great friends at Preborn. How many of you love puppies? They're so sweet and cuddly. What's not to love? But can you imagine pulling puppies out of their mother's womb? Oh, the outrage that would ensue. So why are puppies more important and more protected than babies? Preborn is the nation's leader in protecting the life of the unborn. By introducing babies to their mothers through ultrasound, a baby's chance at life doubles. That's why Preborn and their network of clinics offer free ultrasounds to women with unplanned pregnancies in the highest abortion areas in the country. Through their good work, Preborn rescues 200 babies every day, and they don't stop there. They are a ministry of compassion, loving women and babies, offering assistance for up to 2 years. If you consider yourself pro-life, it's time you help the good work of Preborn. One ultrasound is just $28. $140 helps to rescue 5 babies' lives. Every day, every baby deserves a chance at life. Please donate your best gift today. Just dial pound 250, say the keyword baby. That's pound 250, keyword baby. Or visit preborn.com/fearless. That's preborn.com/fearless. We're in Cosell, Steve Kim. Next. Welcome back to Beef, as I walk you through my top 50 media beefs of all time. Yeah, I'm an equal opportunity beefer. It's like, Randy, are you asleep at the wheel? Big lips are in style. I'd love to squash this beef. I mean, I was not real happy at all. I was less than thrilled. I was displeased. And now we have beef.
모두 다 빨리 박수 쳐 기다리지 말고 서둘러 Reason that I'm back is to feed you raps I see that you are 배불러 So fly
All right, welcome back. Time for some Cosell. Cosell. I just trashed Deion Sanders. It's Deion season again. Yeah, I know you're shocked. Yeah, it's Deion season again. Did you see his press conference? I thought it was an embarrassment, Kim.
Which one? I mean, they're all getting very combative. No, here's the issue. I don't understand this whole thing with Coach Deion Sanders, and let's refer to him as Coach. Why does anyone have to like you or us or your team? That's not their job. If you want a bunch of pom-pom waving groupies, there's plenty of those on YouTube that will defend anything that happens with the Colorado Buffalo football program as long as Coach Deion Sanders is in charge. But look, do I agree with every one of your criticisms of him? No, not necessarily. But on this one, yes, he's acting a little bit childish and immature when he's basically saying, you don't like us, and I'm not going to talk to you. Oh, get over it. Get over it. Jeez.
So when you say there's some criticisms you don't agree with, are you related to this press conference, or are you talking about previous stuff?
No, not everything. Look, contrary to popular belief, me and you actually do disagree once in a while. We're honest about it. I want to let our fine audience of millions know we don't actually rehearse, as you could probably tell, but everything that we say is organic. When we disagree, we disagree. And when we agree, which is the majority of times, that's also very honest. But I like to think the strength of our conversations is that we can both be honest and respectful and funny and just walk away, not as friends, but as colleagues, and as respected members of the media. So that's what I'm saying is, but when it comes to this press conference and what he's been doing recently with the media, I completely agree with you, Mr. Whitlock. Yes, I do.
I make the argument that Deion wanted people to ask him questions about the Athlon sports story, in my view, but he had so scared them and intimidated them that no one was willing to ask him that directly. and so he started out the press conference talking about the Athlon sports story without mentioning it. And then by the end of it, he started forcing it. And this whole little chemistry thing he was talking about was really talking about the Athlon sports deal and saying, we got great chemistry. The kids here love me. And they brought me a birthday cake and all this other stuff he was doing, trying to let people know, like, it's all good here. But if he treated people with respect and the kind of behavior you expect a coach making $4, $5, $6 million a year to behave, because again, to whom much is given, much is expected. And so to be battling with some Denver sports columnist who's making $80,000, $90,000 a year and saying, oh, you don't like me, he's sending out a message to everybody. Hey, just come here and kiss my butt and genuflect in front of me, or I'm going to abuse you.
Yeah, he'd fit in perfectly in boxing, because I see that all the time now with fighter or boxer media relations, that if you are not a branch of their PR firm, that you are now labeled, as the kids say, a hater or an op. Here's the interesting thing about what I think is the dynamic you're speaking of that's related to that. Jason, I believe a lot of the media members that were there on that particular day after the Athlon story broke, and you can go into the finite details. Was it completely accurate? Again, that can be judged in time. Jason, don't you think a lot of the white guys are afraid to even bring it up? Because they don't want the blowback?
Of course.
On social media? Of course. They don't want to be branded as racist, or, oh, you part of that system, or you're fake news, or you're anti-Deion. And a lot of these guys, quite frankly, are afraid for their jobs. But I think a lot of them also, I'm going to be blunt about it, lack guts.
I think they're scared for their job. I don't want to read anything into it, but take Sean Keeler. I wanted to have him on the show today. He respectfully declined. Could be he has a problem with me, who knows? Or it could be his bosses have told him, hey, don't egg this controversy on anymore. If you say something new, it'll just drive the news cycle, and maybe he's laying low. But I think there is ample reason for these local guys to proceed with caution, because Deion has a lot of leverage. The University of Colorado is all in on Deion, and they're going to make it hard on people I mean, look at our friend Matt McChesney, and I'm not saying that Matt's afraid to tell the truth, but there is real blowback within that city, in the whole media ecosystem there in Denver, that if you're against Deion Sanders, there are ways for you to feel the blowback for being that. And again, and being against Deion Sanders just means questioning some of the unprofessional things that he does.
Well, Jason, let's go through a worst case scenario for the Buffalo football team. Let's say it implodes. They get off to a really bad start. The wheels fall off. Guys lose interest. And all of a sudden, come Thanksgiving weekend, they're basically a 2 or 3 win team. They're not going to go bowling. In year 3 is absolutely a disaster. The media, whose job it is to be neutral, okay, they're going to have to be critical of what went on or what is going on with that season, should they not have the season that they forecast, right? Well, can Deion just basically tell every media member, whether it's a podcaster, a YouTube content creator, or a guy that's writing a column for the Denver Post, that, hey, none of you all like me. Why are you doing this? Well, last I checked, Jason, we all cover events of people or teams or situations that we do not like. But it actually is part of our jobs to pick and to probe and to question and this is important, to be fair and as unbiased as possible. Like, let me give you an example. I covered a fight this weekend, a hell of a fight between Sergey Boachuk and Virgil Ortiz. Probably the best fight I've seen all year. It was an absolute war. I happen to think that Boachuk won the fight, but when I interviewed Robert Garcia at the press conference, I got the mic, I asked a few questions. I didn't really interject my feelings about the fight. I asked questions about how he felt about things were going into the championship rounds and some other things. But I didn't immediately state, hey, Robert, I think the fight was a robbery. React. See, I think that's when you go out of bounds. And certain people do that. But again, this whole notion of why you do this, you don't like us. It doesn't matter if Keeler doesn't like him. His job is to cover the team and to be fair. That's it.
I think if it goes south early, it's going to be, we're going to see the kind of pivot we saw the media do with Joe Biden. And you remember, if you've ever seen the Morning Joe clip, yeah. Oh my God, Biden is sharp as a tack. 3 weeks later, he must resign. He must step aside. He's lost it mentally. I think we're going to see that kind of dramatic pivot by the media. They're going to cop to what's been obvious from day one. Now, if they somehow win 7, 8, 9 games, we're going to see a celebration of Deion, and everyone's going to pretend like nothing to see here. This is all normal. Shiloh beating up Cormani, the whole gun deal, all of it, nothing to see here. I saw something where someone was comparing him to Barry Switzer, and trust me, that card is going to be played. Hey, this is no different than what Barry Switzer, this is no bit different than what Urban Meyer had at the University of Florida. Anybody pointing out the fact that there were problems within the locker room here, they're all racist. They didn't do this to Urban Meyer and Barry Switzer.
Here's the difference, though. And again, you can frown at it, but the difference is those guys won multiple national championships. And in college sports, specifically football, the ends do justify the means. So here's the thing. If he wins double-digit games and takes this team to the playoffs, I'll say it again, he'd be my coach of the year, and he'd get the plaudits. Now, if it falls apart and it's a 4-loss team, the floodgates will open. And yeah, with Barry Switzer, I still remember the famous story. One day it was snowing, and they were having a snowball fight, and a player by the name of George Buster Rhymes got hit in the face with a snowball. He got so upset that he went to his dorm room, and he got an Uzi, and he just started spraying the air. And Brian Bosworth once said, when Buster Rhymes came through on snowball fights, there was a ceasefire. So yeah, it was a wild time, but again, they won. There's a big difference. Big difference, Jason.
Well, I've always been a guy that criticized. The Fab Five went to back-to-back national championship games. I criticized them all along the way. And I really did. And so even success, Marty Schottenheimer, one of the best coaches, I'm telling you, a great coach.
Yes.
Criticized him the whole time in Kansas City. And I liked Marty and respected him. And even with Steve Fisher, who I didn't think did a great job at Michigan, I had to admit, wow, this guy turned out to be a fantastic coach. And what he did at San Diego State, very impressive. But I want to move on. I want to talk some Olympic stuff. Before I do, though.
Olympics?
I want to talk about our great friends at Hillsdale College. Time is our most precious commodity, and I've heard from so many members of the Fearless Army who have asked for my advice about how they can spend it wisely to improve themselves and the people around them. That's why I'm so excited that Hillsdale College is offering more than 40 free online courses in the most important and enduring subject. You can learn about the works of C.S. Lewis, the stories in the book of Genesis, the meaning of the U.S. Constitution, the rise and fall of the Roman Republic, or the history of the ancient Christian church, while Hillsdale College's online courses, all available for free. That's right, for free. I personally recommend you sign up for Ancient Christianity. In this 11-lecture course, you'll study the inspiring stories of Christ, his apostles, and faithful ones throughout the first 4 centuries of Christianity. You'll also learn the arguments of key early Christian apologists who defended the Christian faith in the face of persecution. The course is self-paced so that you can start whenever and wherever. Enroll now in Ancient Christianity to discover the improbable and miraculous story of Christianity. Go right now to hillsdale.edu/fearless to enroll. There's no cost and it's easy to get started. That's hillsdale.edu/fearless to register. hillsdale.edu/fearless. Steve, our man LeBron James, boy, I'm going to get in a lot of heat today because I'm talking about Deion and LeBron James. LeBron James was somehow named MVP of the Olympic basketball team, and I'm just sorry. I think it's a tragedy. There's no way this guy should have been named the MVP of that basketball team after what Steph Curry did in the final 2 games of that Olympics. There was only 2 games that mattered. Only 2 games. There was the U.S. Olympic team versus Nikola Jokic and Serbia, and there was the U.S. basketball team in the gold medal game versus Wembyamba and France. All the 4 other games, irrelevant. And in those final 2 games, Steph Curry carried this team with incredible signature performances. I think the 2 best, most memorable moments, and Steph's had some great moments in the NBA and done some incredible things in the NBA, but I think these were his signature performances, 60 points in the last 2 games. I get that LeBron was more consistent over the course of 6 games, but those first 4 games, they don't matter. When the going got tough, the tough got going. And I'm not saying LeBron was bad in those 2 games, but Steph was so incredible. How do you not, other than the Olympics are really Nike run and it's just a propaganda machine and the truth doesn't matter. LeBron had no business being the MVP. You agree?
Well, Jason, I have a question. In those 2 games without Steph Curry, does the U.S. somehow lose those games? In your opinion?
Serbia, no question.
Right.
Serbia, no question.
So in many ways, this kind of is a microcosm of LeBron James. When you take a look at the totality of his numbers and when he works in volume, some would call it stat padding. He's always going to be among the very best. But when it came down to the nitty gritty, the clutch moments, the last 4 minutes of a ball game, when it's a 1, 2, or 3 possession game, when every single basket counts, that's not exactly when LeBron has been at his best. So again, there's no doubt about it. I believe that there's some politics in play. There's a PR factor that's in play. There's a reason why LeBron carried the American flag out for the country that he has a very, very conflicted relationship with. But I do find it interesting when you take a look at the most memorable moments of that USA basketball team and what really sealed the deal for a team that was not as dominant as, let's say, the 1992 Dream Team. it was provided by Steph Curry, not LeBron James.
There were 3 signature moments in this Olympic basketball run. Steph exploding in the Serbia game for 36 points. It was just an incredible show. And then Steph exploding in the fourth quarter of the game against France, 12 points in a little 2-minute stretch. It's like a Reggie Miller, New York Knicks moment. It was just incredible, and the threes that he hit. And then the third signature moment, I don't know how close you watched this, but this Gershon Yabusele dunked on LeBron James. Oh my God! Those are the 3 memories. Steph exploding, and they're trying to memory hole this dunk on LeBron. This should have been the biggest meme going all over social media, but it's all rigged and controlled, and so they're trying to pretend like this didn't happen. And I'm just, if this had happened and they had, Dwayne Wade was doing the broadcasting, Noah Eagle was the play-by-play. That was one of the most iconic moments, LeBron getting dunked on by this guy from France, who I think was a former first-round NBA draft pick. But they didn't even call this properly because, I mean, this is one of those moments, Steve, where I wish Mark Jones from ESPN had been calling the game because he's pretty good with nicknames, or Gus Johnson, somebody that would have had the balls, I think, to call that properly. But what we got was a bunch of pander. I can remember in that Serbia game, Steph Curry scores 36 points, and Noah Eagle, LeBron makes a layup at the rim, and Noah Eagle's shouting, "Captain America is carrying this team on his back." He put the team on his back, and I'm like, who, Steph Curry? And he's talking about LeBron. The whole propaganda. LeBron
Jason,
had no business, and that dunk is what I'll remember. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm surprised we're even using that picture. I'm surprised it hasn't been scrubbed clean from the internet like Trump's picture after it nearly got capped. We might even get a trademark violation. This show may not even make it to YouTube today, Jason. I hope people are just looking at this live. You may have to watch the podcast version, folks. If you don't see this show on YouTube at 4 p.m. Pacific time, right there, that'll be the reason why. Blame Clutch Sports. I think Nick Wright may have actually report us on this one. Be careful, Jason.
Finally, Steve, I don't know if this is a big deal or not. Have you seen the clip of LeBron blowing off the little white kid? Let's play that clip, and I want to get your thoughts.
Congratulations, LeBron.
Stop. Don't do that.
Congratulations, LeBron. Congratulations.
Champion! There's some different angles of this, and they'll, at the end, right before LeBron walks into that nightclub, he does a little dance step and all this other stuff. But stop to the little white kid. I don't know what it's about. Big deal, no deal, little deal. Your thoughts?
Kids, and especially even you adults, never meet your heroes. They're bound to let you down. But let me just take LeBron's side a little bit. He may want, look, I get it, he's a public figure, but you live in a fishbowl. I kind of get it in the sense that who in the world wants to be bothered all the time? Yeah, I get it. The public pays your salary. The fans make the business. I am not arguing about that. But everybody is human. Everybody has a breaking point. And we don't know. He may have signed 5,000 autographs. He may have signed 5,000 autographs before. We don't know. He may have taken 1,000 selfies. Maybe he just said in his own mind, okay, I'm done. But I have a question, and yeah, I'm going to go here. What if that was a white athlete who did that to a little black kid? Ooh, wow. Could you imagine the uproar there would be? Yeah, I went there. This is what we do here at Fearless. Just saying.
I hadn't even thought about that, but you're right. It would, the optics would be different. I'm not going to come down too hard on LeBron, but I don't understand. You win a championship, an Olympic gold medal. It seems like you'd be so overcome with joy that how could your mind even go there to talk that way to a little kid? And it's like, hey, stop. and again, there's a condescension because the kid's not posing any threat. He's just trying to take a selfie and a picture with LeBron. And I know that gets annoying constantly, but when you're in this joyous, celebratory mood and you just want a gold medal, hopping out of the car and taking a little picture with a kid, it doesn't seem that hard to do.
I have heard stories of athletes in like the worst times taking time out to take a photo or give an autograph. And it makes a fan's day, and it makes them a fan for life. I get it. But I've also seen the other side where these individuals who, again, they ask for this to a certain degree. I'm not going to argue that. They can't even spend time with their family, can't even eat a meal, can't even go out to the movies. There has to be a middle ground. So, again, I don't want to come too hard on LeBron because he is still an individual and a person who at times we don't know how he treated everyone else for the previous 2.5, 3 hours. I think this is kind of a tough one. I don't want to come down too hard on LeBron James here.
Yep, I agree. Steve, I got some other Steph Curry stuff I want to get into. But before we do that, I want to talk about the second episode of The Cover-Up, this exposure of Dr. Anthony Fauci. The pandemic may be behind us, but the social and economic ramifications still affect us today. We here at The Blaze refuse to allow them to distract us and make us forget what Dr. Fauci and crew did to us. That's why in episode 2 of The Cover-Up, Matt Kibbe and Senator Rand Paul uncover the truth behind the origins of COVID-19, the lies and crimes of Dr. Anthony Fauci, and work to expose who is protecting Dr. Fauci. Senator Paul's relentless pursuit of truth will reveal the insanity behind gain-of-function research. The people responsible will never be held accountable. From his contentious hearings with Fauci to his attempts to expose agencies like the NIH and the DOD, Senator Paul has made it his mission to find out why the government is funding dangerous research and bring to light the lies that completely damaged our nation. This is personal. Our lives were forever changed by their deception, and together, we intend to make sure that it never happens again. To watch the latest installment in the series, go to FauciCoverup.com/Whitlock and use the promo code FauciLied to get $30 off an annual subscription. Steve, I want to return to Steph Curry, and I've got a big question that I can't wait to hear your response to. I think what Steph Curry just did in these Olympics establishes him as a more iconic, important, historic, dare I say, I don't know if I can use the word better, but he ranks higher to me on the all-time greats of NBA basketball players now than Kobe Bryant.
Oh.
Steph has 2 MVPs. What? Steph has 2 MVPs. He's got 4 NBA titles. He was just legitimately the MVP of the Olympics, even though they handed it to LeBron. His impact on the game, the way he's changed the style, what he's done for young people in the game, I think it exceeds Kobe Bryant. And so I think I came out with a top 10 list, and I think I got Steph either number 6 and Kobe 7, or Steph 5 and Kobe 6. But I have Steph Curry now ranked ahead of Kobe Bryant. I think Kobe's brand has been elevated because of his tragic death. This is not Kobe hate. I think Kobe was a great player. I was critical of Kobe during his playing career, but you take it all in totality, he's an all-time great player as far as what I've seen. I can't talk about the older guys that I haven't seen. I'm leaving them out of this, so Wilt, Bill Russell, Oscar Robertson, Jerry West, they're not in my top 10 because I didn't see them. I'm not saying they're not top 10 great players, but I just didn't see them. Steph ranks ahead of Kobe Bryant. Your thoughts?
Jason, I thought you had turned over a new leaf and believed in faith in God, because this is blasphemy. Audience, the fearless thought. When I talked about the organic disagreements that we have, this is now one. Jason, you are in Alcatraz because you are a prisoner of the moment. Now, will I say that Steph has had a bigger impact on the style of play with the analytics and the three-point shooting? No doubt. But when it comes to overall ability and achievements, it is still Kobe Bean Bryant. I think he's actually still underrated. And you talk about the MVPs. There was at least another 2 or 3 years that Kobe should have won it, especially in 2006 and maybe even 2007 when he had to carry some bad Laker teams post-Shaq where he had no help. I still remember his teammates being guys like Chris Mims, Smush Parker, guys of that ilk. They were role players. Some of the best basketball that Kobe ever played and that was ever seen, including the 81, him outscoring an NBA Finals team over 3 quarters, 63-62 against the Dallas Mavericks, will never be appreciated enough because it was a mediocre ball club, while Steph Curry was surrounded by more talent during this part of his career than Kobe was post-Shaq. And you take a look at the Olympics. Kobe was brought into 2008 for a specific reason. Team USA had started to lose too many games, and it was that man who came along to rescue them and take them to Fort Knox. So once again, they could find gold. And Kobe Bean Bryant overall on both sides of the court, because last I checked, there's 2 sides to this game. He's an infinitely better defensive player than Steph Curry, who at times has been a pylon. I love Steph Curry, regardless of what I said, but no, he is not better than Kobe Bean Bryant. Blasphemy, Whitlock. Shame to yourself. Shame to yourself.
I have no rebuttal to the fact that Kobe, far better defensive player than Steph Curry. I can't rebut that.
Yes, you shouldn't.
Impact on the game, impact on style of play, impact
Agreed.
In terms of importance to a franchise. I just don't know if you can really top what Steph Curry's done in this era where everybody just team hops. Steph and the consistent greatness of the Golden State Warriors over the course of his career has been incredible. And I think Kobe, because we live in a time where death really elevates, and I guess it always has. The great painters are always, their paintings, all get more valuable in death. And Kobe died such a tragic death that I think people forget Kobe and the tantrums, Kobe and Phil Jackson not seeing eye to eye, Kobe and the teams that didn't make the playoffs and him threatening to leave. He was just, in my view, far more of a headache and created some instability for the Lakers organization. I think Steph Curry would have found a way to squeeze another year or 2 out of his relationship with Shaquille O'Neal, and then we wouldn't even be having this conversation. We would be having a conversation about, hey, is Kobe really right there with Michael Jordan if he had been able to squeeze another year or 2 out of Shaq? I just, for those reasons,
Everything you said, I actually agree with. As a diehard Laker fan in recess, I am not a part of the cult of Kobe. I find those people to be completely unreasonable. But everything you said is correct, especially the last 3-4 years when that gargantuan contract given by Genie Fredo Bus, I think set back this Laker team by at least 5 to 6 years. No argument. Some of his behavior, I have to tell you, I rolled my slanted eyes. I hated that. I don't think he helped anyone's cause. However, where Kobe is underrated, and I know this hurts his legacy, when people keep saying that he was the Robin to Shaq's Batman, I disagree staunchly with that, because without Kobe Bryant on the wing, they don't even get out of the Western Conference in at least 2 of those years, because Kobe was the only guy that could beat anyone off the dribble and create his own shot. That was a very slow, unathletic team for the most part. And look, I was a skeptic of Kobe because I loved Eddie Jones. I hated when we traded him. And I said, I don't like this kid from Philly or Marion. What are we doing? Where he won me over was Game 4 of the 2000 NBA Finals. You might have been covering this game, Jason. Shaq O'Neal fouls out in the first minute of overtime. Lakers are up 2-1, but it looks like the Pacers might tie this series up. It was a 2-3-2 format. I remember all of us in LA saying, uh-oh, we might have to go 7 games here. Shaq fouls out with about 4.5 minutes to go, and I'm thinking, oh, geez, we're in trouble. The stuff Kobe Bryant did as a 20-year-old in the overtime of that game left me awestruck. I said to myself, he's not just great, he's special. I'm not saying he's Jordan, but let me just tell you something. If Jordan's a 10, this kid's probably a 9.8. I don't think Steph Curry was ever capable of doing that type of stuff at that age.
I'm going to give you the final word on this because I know I'm out on a limb and I'm too heavy to be out on this kind of a limb. But I'm going to stand by my opinion, but I respect yours and the people that will disagree with me. And I'm looking at my list. I have Jordan 1, Kareem 2, Magic 3, LeBron 4, Bird 5, Kobe 6. Steph 6, Kobe 7. And I have Caitlin Clark at number 10. So let me move on to...
Wait a minute. I thought you'd have her higher, so I'm not going to argue too much. I thought she might make her Mount Rushmore, so let's just leave it at that on a high note.
We'll see how the second half of this WNBA season goes. She is number 10 with a bullet. Final, or is this, I can't remember. There's another thing I want to talk to you about. Mike Greenberg talking about Steph. Let's play the clip. He's calling Steph's shot in Saturday's gold medal game one of the top 10 memorable shots in basketball history. I think it's a crazy take, but let's play the clip.
I'm going to give Steph number 1. It's not just this 4th one, which is a miracle. He's literally the only person on planet Earth for whom that's a good look. But it is also the stakes. The Team USA winning the gold medal is what is expected. So it will not be remembered the way some of those others were. But think about the other side. Think about if we don't win that game. Think about the reaction if Team USA loses that day. And we were in significant jeopardy of doing just that. And so for that reason, and because of the spectacular nature of that flurry, capped off by that 4th one, which again is an absolutely terrible shot for every other person in the world, I put that one at number 1. I put that as the number 1 most memorable moment. It is one you will never forget having watched.
Crazy. I watched the game. I thought it was great.
Crazy.
I thought it was great. But most memorable in basketball history, here's Greeny's top 5 that he gave up. Steph Curry, number 1. Michael Jordan, Utah Jazz, number 2. Christian Laettner, I believe this is the Kentucky game, the shot to beat Kentucky. Ray Allen, NBA Finals 2013. And these are all, and then number 5, Chris Jenkins, 2016. Good Lord. I don't, Chris Jenkins, give me a break.
Buzzer beater. Come on. It's a buzzer beater to win the national title. Come on.
Steph Curry, Michael Jordan, Christian Laettner, Ray Allen, Chris Jenkins. When I say Chris Jenkins, I think of defensive tackle in the National Football League.
All pro.
Yeah, I don't think of. Yeah, I don't think of whoever this guy is for Villanova, in particularly 2016 college basketball. Nothing important could happen. So anyway, Greeny's list is crazy. Steph Curry, I'm not even sure if he belongs on this list. Chris Jenkins certainly doesn't. Your thoughts on his list, and give me some other candidates.
I'm just amazed because of the previous segment where you said what Steph Curry did puts him above Kobe Bryant And then 10 minutes later, oh, Greeny, what is he, crazy? Based on the same player, based on what he did in the same game. Jason, do you understand your own inconsistency here? Come on.
No.
Now.
Because I'm not talking about one shot. I'm talking about 2 games, back-to-back importance, something I'll never forget. But go ahead.
Now, for me, I think some of Greeny's list, I don't have a heavy disagreement with, but when I think of iconic basketball shots, it comes down to what happens in the NBA and the NCAA, most importantly during March Madness. Now, I compiled a list, and again, heavy Laker bias. I don't run from it. But the most iconic shot in my lifetime as a Laker fan, and I've called it the most important shot in Laker basketball history, Game 4, 1987 Finals. We're up 2-1. But all of a sudden, the Leprechauns and the Boston Magic, the Celtic Pride, they're blowing out the purple and gold by about 16, 17 points in the middle or the late third quarter. And again, we're panicking. But all of a sudden, we start chipping away. Michael Cooper with the key 3. Michael Thompson, my buddy, making some huge plays late in that game. But then finally, we're down by 1. Magic gets the ball. They switch out. He's on McHale. And I remember where I was in my home in Montebello watching this, holding my breath. And then Magic just says, you know what? I'm taking it to the rack. And he hits the junior sky hook. When that shot went through in Montebello High School, my freshman year, we literally talked about that. Even the girls that don't even like sports, everybody at school was talking about it. And to me, it put us up 3-1. Larry Bird misses a buzzer beater in the corner. We knew, we've won it. Well, greatest feeling in the world as a Laker fan based on the history with the Celtics. And look, I get it. My number 2 is Michael Jordan. He did not push off against Brian Russell. Let's get that out of your mind. And he hits that iconic shot. Should have ended right there, but he played for the Wizards. So those are my top 2 shots, Jason.
I'm going to give you my full, because you got Robert Horry on this list. I need to slap you for that. I like the Michael Jordan. I like the Michael Jordan Georgetown shot on your list.
Yes.
But let me give you a more legitimate list. Shots that I'm going to give you shots that, look, you can just show the picture and you remember where you were. You remember all you need is, I know exactly what game that was. Jordan push off and the shot over, whether it was or wasn't a push, the shot over Byron Russell, that's an iconic image that no one will forget. It's Jordan's final shot.
As a
the
bull.
Greatest player of all time.
As a bull.
It's as a bull. Yeah. I'm sorry. You're right. As a bull. Thank you. Look, you can show the Christian Laettner shot anywhere on any TV, on YouTube, on your phone. And you're like, oh my God, he beat Kentucky. You know exactly where you were. It was incredible. I mean, the pass from Grant Hill, the whole thing is just incredible. People's memory, old guy like me, Derek Whittenberg throwing up that Hail Mary and Lorenzo Charles dunking it. And that's played all over. Jim Valvano running around the court. Lorenzo Charles, that shot, incredible. No one's ever going to forget that. Listen, it's just because it's Jordan, and I hate to go here because I'd love to put the baby hook on this list, the Magic Johnson baby, but I can't because Jordan over Craig Elo and the fist pump afterwards, that's an iconic, incredible moment that'll never be forgotten. And then number 5, and I think a lot of people are just asleep at the wheel, but really any basket Caitlin Clark has made probably has a right to be on this list. So I have Caitlin Clark and just an array of baskets that could be in my top 5.
Here's the thing. Another one that I wanted to put on, it just missed, was John Paxson closing out Game 6 of the 93 Finals, which ended up being the last one of the first career of Michael Jordan. Because remember, 4 months later, he retired to be a Birmingham Baron and play a little baseball. Jason, the Robert Horry thing, again, that is my Laker bias. And that was Game 4 of the 2002 Western Conference Finals. Lakers were getting blown out at home, and I actually had turned the game off. If they lose that game, they're down 3-1, and guess what? There's no three-peat. So I think historically that shot is very important. I put the Ray Allen shot against San Antonio in my top 5 for a very simple reason. It was so impactful in a sense that if Craig Popovich just puts in Tim Duncan, number one, they get the rebound. He overcoached that situation. But furthermore, if Ray Allen does not make that shot, it changes the whole perception of LeBron's legacy. That in essence, he would have only won one title. And I think he went 2 for 3 in the finals. And I think now it makes it 1 for 3 if he doesn't make this shot. So that shot was unbelievably keen. I think he was actually 2 out of 4. Think about what LeBron's
in Miami,
historic,
yeah.
in Miami. If he's only 1 for 4, it wouldn't be 2, wouldn't be 3, not 4, not 5. 1 for 4. So that shot is huge on many levels in terms of the historical context of the National Basketball Association.
I got 2 others that need strong consideration. Kawhi Leonard, baseline shot, falling out of bounds, and he's squatting over in the corner. Toronto, it brought Toronto a champion. That's an iconic image. For everybody knows that's hard. I also think Keith Smart, this may be my Indiana bias, knocking down the shot, I believe, against Syracuse. That's a great moment. Look, this one is just, again, I worked in Kansas City, so I got a little Missouri bias as well. Tyus Edney going coast to coast is a shot that'll never be forgotten. All of that to me is better than, well, I would put Steph Curry above the Tyus Edney deal, but Greeny's list was terrible, in my opinion.
And I'll add one more.
Yeah.
When Carlton took the ball from Will on that one episode, and Carlton threw up a shot, and it missed the basket by 30 feet. That's all. It didn't make, but that's an iconic shot. A lot of memes have been created from that, Jason. Let's put that one in the top 10, too.
Steve, great job as always. I got some justice for TT. I'll get to next.
So how does the cloud work? So you're now no longer are you necessarily keeping those private files in some file cabinet that's locked in the basement of the house.
Okay.
It's on your laptop, and it's then therefore up here in this cloud.
Oh, there's a big surprise. That's an incredible. I think I'm gonna have a heart attack and die from that surprise.
That exists above us, right? It's no longer in a physical place.
You're a goddamn genius. That's the most outstanding answer I've ever heard. You must have a goddamn IQ of 160.
Yes, we owe you justice, TT. We will begin with a Nina Turner tweet. She's a former, I think, state senator, maybe in Ohio or whatever. She one of these angry black women that appears on MSNBC or used to. I believe August 9th or 10th, over the weekend, was the 10th anniversary of the tragic death of Michael Brown. And Nina Turner tweeted out, a decade ago, a police officer shot and killed Michael Brown Jr., an unarmed black teenager with his hands up in Ferguson, Missouri. Michael's life matters. Black lives matter. And we will continue to say it until it becomes the truth in this nation's eyes. That's Nina Turner. Which triggered me this weekend, and I put out a tweet that really upset some people, but damn it, I'm standing on it. I don't care if it hurts feelings. We got to move beyond worrying about people's feelings. Here's what I tweeted back in response. This is why you should research every piece of accepted history. every piece. Most especially the history, they argue, is above scrutiny. The way they've lied about Michael Brown calls into question all of these stories, including Emmett Till. Lies breed conspiracy theories. Sorry, I'm gonna stand on it. I brought Emmett Till into this intentionally, and people were, oh my God, how can you question Emmett Till? I can question it because up until like 2 years ago, I had no idea that black men participated in the maiming and killing of Emmett Till. And they did. They've told a lie about 1955 and what happened in Mississippi and what happened to 14-year-old Emmett Till. This is just facts. Do the homework, do the research yourself. Black men participated in the maiming and killing of Emmett Till. I'm not saying that Emmett Till wasn't wrongfully killed. I'm saying they've told an incomplete story that, oh, it's just a group of white racists and the white woman lied. None of this stuff. And you should question everything. And when I say every piece of accepted history, I'm talking about every piece. And I'm not just talking about the racial history. I'm talking about World War II. I'm talking about World War I. I'm talking about JFK. I'm talking about Building 7 committing suicide on 9/11. Everything should be questioned because they lie about everything. It's been so debunked that Michael Brown, hands up, don't shoot. It's all a lie. And this woman's still repeating it. And she's repeating it because she knows that if she repeats it long enough and they repeat it long enough, it will be accepted history. The facts don't matter. During this 10-year anniversary celebration in Ferguson, and again, that's what it is, a celebration. They commemorate. It's a celebration because there's nothing stronger than being a victim in Justice For T.T. culture, in black culture. Being a victim is the highest level of importance. So a cop during this 10-year anniversary celebration was attacked by a protester. The cop is in very serious condition, I think having some brain issues. And here's the police chief of Ferguson talking about the insanity of this whole Michael Brown worship and this whole demonization of the Ferguson police still continuing 10 years later. Play the clip.
My team got out there and was assaulted by a number of the protesters that were out there on the scene. As a result, one of my police officers suffered a severe brain injury. He is at an area hospital right now, fighting for his life. And I'm gonna break away a little bit from what I was planning to talk about. This police department, this Ferguson Police Department, since 2014, has been a punching bag for this community. The police department back in 2014, we don't even have them officers here anymore. So what are you protesting? These officers not even here no more. Everything that the activist community has advocated for, as far as body-worn cameras, implicit bias training, crisis intervention training, all this stuff, we have done all of this. What are we protesting? What is it? We even changed the uniforms at this police department because people said that the old uniforms triggered people. What are we doing? 10 years later, I got an officer fighting for his life. It's enough, and I'm done with it. We're not doing it here in Ferguson. Our community is united behind us. Our community is fed up. We want to heal. Our community want to heal. We want people to peacefully protest, but we damn sure ain't going to allow you to destroy this city, and we ain't going to allow you to hurt none of these police officers.
Only word I disagree with that man on is they need to stop the protesting because that's not what they're doing. It's a ritual. They're doing a ritual. Say his name, Michael Brown, say his name. They're calling on demonic spirits, dead demonic spirits. It shouldn't be done. It's an affront to God. And now a man is fighting for his life. The step I would have gone even further is like, hey man, we're not negotiating and following your instructions anymore, because nothing we do satisfies you. You can't be satisfied because you don't have legitimate demands. You're not interested in improving things. You're interested in protesting or stamping your feet and throwing a tantrum and calling everything racist and saying, give me free stuff. Give me a promotion on my job, because you know it's systemically racist. Michael Brown didn't have his hands up. Michael Brown's on camera bullying a guy at a convenience store. Michael Brown tried to take the gun from Darren Wilson and then charged back at Darren Wilson. Eric Holder, Barack Obama's attorney general, they proved all this beyond a shadow of a doubt. But these lies are so important, and the insanity that these lies promote is so important, people won't give up on the lies. And that's why you have to question everything. Let me walk you through the Mount Rushmore or the Mount Racemore of racial hoaxes. And you can't, limiting this to 4 was very difficult. We should have had a top 10 of all this stuff that has been going on. I believe, didn't Trayvon Martin happen in 2012? The last decade has been filled with nothing but racial hoaxes. All of them, from top to bottom, they're all racial hoaxes. Only thing that has an air of legitimacy, in my view, is the Sonia Massey thing that just happened a few weeks ago. But that cop is in jail. He's been fired from his job. He's been denied bail, and he's been charged with first-degree murder or second-degree murder. Instant justice. There's nothing more you can do. But here's the Mount Racemore of racial hoaxes, and I'm going to rattle off a few more. But I got to put Michael Brown on here. Of course, St. George Floyd, who died of a fentanyl overdose and died because he fussed and argued and resisted arrest for 20 straight minutes, had a heart attack because he had enough fentanyl in him to kill a dozen horses. He almost died a year before, the same thing, same interaction with the police, almost died then. They resuscitated him and got him to a hospital and fixed him up that time. George Floyd was not killed by Derek Chauvin. Derek Chauvin was at the scene of George Floyd overdosing on fentanyl. It's a hoax. Sorry if that hurts your feelings, and I know George Floyd, who was a career criminal, holds a special place in all of your hearts. Breonna Taylor, Mount Racemore of racial hoax. I feel sorry for Breonna Taylor. This is the woman out of St. Louis who was shot by out of Louisville, who was shot by Louisville police officers because her ignorant, scared boyfriend fired a shot at police first. And he hit a cop in the leg. And then the cops opened fire, and he, because he's not a man, allowed his woman to get out of bed and go to the front door with him to see what the trouble was at the front door. A real man would have told his woman, baby, you stay here. I'm going to go out and see what the trouble is. If someone's going to get shot, it's going to be me. You hang back here. But he's not a real man, so he let his woman get up and walk to the front door with him, and some people think he used her as a human shield. But Breonna Taylor died because her boyfriend fired at and shot a cop first. For those of you that have never been shot at, I haven't been shot at, but I know damn well if I had been and I had a gun, I'm firing back indiscriminately. Someone hits me with a bullet and I have a gun, I'm opening fire back. That's what the police did. It's a hoax. Got to put Trayvon Martin on the hoax list. And trust me, with Trayvon Martin and Michael Brown, I initially bought the hoaxes. I initially thought, oh boy, poor Trayvon. But Lord have mercy, I've watched some documentaries and the other side of the argument as it relates to Trayvon Martin. Trayvon Martin was involved in drug dealing and gang activity. His father was a gang member. Trayvon Martin was beating the head of George Zimmerman into the ground. Trayvon Martin was about that life, and he effed around and found out that George Zimmerman was carrying. And George Zimmerman put a bullet in Trayvon Martin. And did I like George Zimmerman getting out of his car and following Trayvon Martin? No, didn't like it. Didn't justify Trayvon Martin beating his head into the ground. And then the fake witness that the Rachel Gentile or whatever that they said was Trayvon's girlfriend, it's all a lie. She wasn't. This was a fat, borderline retarded woman who pretended to be Trayvon's girlfriend, who pretended she was on the phone with Trayvon right before he was shot. Ben Crump dressed this woman up and had her play the role of Trayvon's girlfriend. It was a hoax and a lie that led to Trayvon Martin's mother and father parading around the last 12 years as celebrities, collecting checks off their dead son, and it allowed Ben Crump, who is borderline retarded as well, to run around as some civil rights lawyer, and he's some hero, and he's made millions of dollars promoting and benefiting from dead black people and promoting and benefiting from racial hoaxes. There's so many of these, and because I just was in an argument this weekend or over social media. When I made the point like, hey, you know the Central Park 5 deal, that's a hoax too. First of all, they weren't exonerated. Their convictions were vacated, and there is a difference. Vacated and exonerated, there's a difference. The media, the Netflix documentarians, Ava DuVernay, and all the liars have promoted, hey, they were exonerated. They weren't. Vacated. If you punch it into Google, it'll come exonerated. It's a rig job. It was vacated, and there is a difference between the two. Vacated after they served the prison terms that they were convicted of. Go watch the Central Park Five's interviews with police, with their parents sitting there with them. These guys did what they were convicted of. Did they rape the woman, the jogger? No. They weren't convicted of that. They were convicted of what they confessed to. And then years later, after they served their term, and as a part of this whole propaganda campaign that the criminal justice system is completely out of whack and it's unfair and it's racist, the actual rapist confessed to it. And they used his confession as a, see, they had the wrong people. The DNA didn't match, his DNA is there. But that's not what these kids confessed to in real time. They confessed to, hey, we got together, about 30 of us, with the intent of running around Central Park, New York, and committing assaults and committing crimes and harassing people. And they hurt this woman, didn't rape her, the people that got convicted, but they hurt this woman, some of them held her down. This is all on tape out of their own mouth. And it wasn't because police forced them. And the lead detective was a black dude. It wasn't racism. It was a group of 14 to 18, 19-year-old kids who were out wilding out of their own mouth. We said we're going to get together and we're going to go out and beat up people and commit crimes in Central Park. That's what they said they were going to do. That's what they did. That's what they confessed to. That's what they went to prison for. We've created this myth because someone else left their DNA and did the actual rape, that these guys were all innocent and victims of a police force that was just racist and out of control. It's a lie. They're all lies. And the lies are so incredible and so obvious. Once you look beyond the surface, it makes you question everything. Everything you've been told. I haven't done the homework on it yet, but at some point I'm sure I will. I'm like, what did they lie to us about the Tulsa massacre? And I say that, maybe they've told us no lies. But if they've told us no lies, that would be new. Because a lot of this stuff is filled with lies and manipulation, and it's all done to drive a narrative, to make you hate America, to make you think America is a failure, to make you think the Constitution and the whole thing has to be thrown out the window so that the LGBTQIA plus alphabet mafia, silent P mafia, can write a new constitution. So the Marxists, the atheists, the hardcore leftists, the communists, the socialists can write a new constitution. It's a game. That's Justice for TT today. Give Nina Turner, give Michael Brown, give them the justice they deserve. Anyway, that's it. That's all. I hear tomorrow. We'll see you tomorrow.
Looking for a breakout, feeling like a standoff, nothing in life like freedom. Came like a fighter, striking like a ladder, making all these moves for freedom. I want freedom. No negotiation, my sister, no relation. We all just wanna have freedom. Sitting on a corner, never been alone. I'm breaking my back for freedom. Blessed, we are living, get back. We are receiving, all deceiving. We all wanna be free. We want freedom. I wanna be. I just want.